2,579 at Eden Park for the World Cup final last year. New Zealand against England. That's a world record crowd. Slightly closer to home, England's home record back in 2022 at Welford Road for the visit of Ireland, 15,836. The Six Nations record as a whole tournament is 17,440 back in 2018 when France met England. Over 53,000 tickets have been sold for the Grand Slam decider, England against France. It is just brilliant.
It's so remarkable. I think when the RFU came out with a statement, want to sell out in 2025 at the Rugby World Cup, numbers at that point, the data didn't support that would happen. And here we are with over 50,000, potentially going to reach 60,000 this weekend. That's it. That's going to be an ambition and a dream that's going to come true. And people aren't going to be able to get tickets. That's where it's going to get to.
Must just say apologies for not getting a pod out to you last week. Acast, our platform provider, put paid to that. Some technical issues. Not technically the greatest at the best of times, but that was even beyond the technicians at Acast. So huge apologies for that. But it's double bubble this week. This quick pod now looking mainly back at last weekend's fascinating results. We've got Rachel Malcolm, the Scotland captain. Finally, they get their win, and she's in buoyant mood ahead of this weekend as well, with a determination to back it up. And of course, on Friday, second part of the week, you're going to have to be there. It's live at the Cabbage Patch, rugby's most famous pub in Twickenham, ahead of Super Saturday. Rachel Burford's going to be there, aren't you, Burf? Last time we got her singing. So, I mean, if that's not worth the admission, pick it.
That might put people off, Johnny. Don't tell people that.
It's all right. We've got plastic glasses. There's no glass crack in there. Lenny Corson and Sarah Hunter, MBE, is going to make an appearance as well. Should be absolutely fantastic. Eventbrite.co.uk for that one. I'm Johnny Hammond alongside Rachel Burford. This is the Women's Rugby Pod. Yeah, Super Saturday is upon us then, Burf. Just to remind you of the details. Round 5. It is England against France at Twickenham at 1 o'clock. Red Roses gunning for a 5th consecutive title at Twickenham. Record crowd. BBC Two here in the UK. At 3:30, it's Italy against Wales at the Serge Lafranchi Stadium in Parma. Scotland face Ireland at the Damhell Stadium in Edinburgh, as on BBC Scotland. It's hugely exciting, isn't it, Burf? Promises to be a great day of rugby across the 3 games.
Yeah, I think, other than just, winning their games at the weekend, there's other things at stake, isn't there? And that's what makes the Six Nations so exciting this season. But I think all eyes are really drawn to the England v France Grand Slam decider, and again back to the fans. The opportunity to play in front of that many people at Twickenham it's mouthwatering. Like I'm so excited for the players to be able to run out. I've done a few commentary games for the men when I'm there, and just hearing the national anthem when that is a packed stadium, it's unbelievable. It's hairs on the back of your neck type of stuff. And for the players to now experience that whilst being on the pitch, it's going to be a truly remarkable day. Yeah.
What Burf is alluding to with that WXV coming up later this year, the seedings and the placings are all to play for this weekend in the Six Nations. We can't get into that just today, but top 3, England and France already booked their place in WXV1. 5th definitely going to XV3. 4th will play off against Spain, and then it gets slightly muddier and cloudier after that. Burf, last weekend, some interesting results. England against Ireland. It was tough for them.
Yeah, you've got to take your hat off to Ireland. I think, irrelevant of what the scoreline says, they really challenged England, and they forced England to play not in the manner that they have been throughout the Six Nations. You know, the error count was really high, which came from the contact element and the pressure from Ireland. They didn't quite get great momentum on their ball carriers, as we've seen before, and then to allow them to play that wide, expansive game. So I think France will be looking at very much the pressures that Ireland put England under and how they're going to use that this weekend. It wasn't England's polished performance. I mean, I think it was 20 handling errors that they had, which is poor by their standards, by anybody's standards. And I think when you make that many errors, penalty count was relatively high, then you're going to have a challenging day. But having said all that, you know, they still scored a bucket of points. So they're a team that know how to win. They're a team who know how to score tries. But, you know, opportunities against France this weekend won't come around as often as they have done so far in the Six Nations in the other rounds. So I think this week there'll be a lot of cleaning up on certain elements to prepare and be ready for this tough French side.
Yeah, I did 3 out of 10. I know the boss wasn't overly impressed at all, but once they get things back on track this weekend, Beckett, Hurd, Kildunn, Packer, Talling, Reid, Matthews, a couple of tries. Let's bring out some of the brighter points then. Your old teammate Sarah Beckett, tough not getting to the World Cup. Great to see her out there. That offload, just popping over the top, so the basketball star was a thing of beauty. And Zoe Allcroft, player of the match as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, for Sarah Beckett, she obviously really messed out during the Rugby World Cup. She had a number of injuries running into it, wasn't really playing consistently. And then at Gloucester Hartbury, she's been playing brilliantly. But for her, I think, you know, she probably has felt pressure consistently to perform and to prove herself. Whereas at the weekend, when you go on for somebody for an injury so early, all that expectation and that worries, you know, taken off your shoulders. And she just played freely, and we saw the best of her, and we saw what she's capable of. And that lovely backdoor, I don't even know how she managed to thread it past a defender to find Tatiana Hurd. But look, I played in the same team with her. She's an absolute monster when she's on the ball to be able to defend against. So I'm really pleased that she played so well, got the accolades that she's deserved, and it was great to see it, like a full performance for her. And then again, she gets the nod this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, surprised you said that. Don't quite know how she did it. I thought you were going to say you taught her everything that you know. But no, look, full credit to Ireland. Alfie Doyle was good on the wing. They converted number 8 as well. They've unearthed one there. They literally attacked England at source, didn't they? Every breakdown was an absolute dogfight, and just couldn't get that ball away. Yeah,
well, it started from the tackle dominance. It was double tackles, which meant England didn't get that nice, clean front foot momentum go forward, and then they can disrupt the breakdown. So, you know, I think they were very clear in what their tactics were. If you don't slow England down, they're going to score 10 tries against you. And they found a way to slow England down, then to rush them when they didn't have all the normal time and space and momentum that they have. And that's why those errors creeped in. And that's why you saw passes being thrown into touch, big loopy passes over to Abidal. I think she's going to run round. So yeah, like Ireland really, really did force their hand a lot of the time.
And you have to say, fantastic from Ireland, because all the chat all week was about record scores and all the rest of it. To keep England to 48 was no mean feat. Wales going to hold them to 58, the 59, I said the week before. So full credit to Ireland. What are you expecting from them this weekend? It's a big old game for them.
Yeah, it's a huge game, but I think they'll be thriving off their performance last week. You know, you just think around like their set piece. They managed to turn England over on a driving maul. Not many teams can do that. They managed to turn them over at the scrum time. Again, not many other teams can do that. They forced a lot of errors on England. And so I think they'll be thinking, you know, we actually have so much confidence from that performance to take into this weekend. And look, they're going through a tough time, aren't they? They've all reports coming out, etc., and all those things, and you know, lots of things keep coming out in the wash for them. But it's galvanising them as a group. Nicola Friday speaks so well about her group. And, I actually started to well up a bit when she was welling up in the anthem, because you just know how much that group are going through as a squad. And that does something to you when you come onto the pitch to perform. So I think we saw a lot of good things. Every round, you've seen an improvement. It might be marginal, but for them, they've grown every single game, and so why would that change this weekend? And they've got a real opportunity.
Yeah, my only fear is physically, but especially mentally, how much last week has taken out of them. That fight to put England under that amount of pressure, just how much that has taken out of them, and they're very, very new to this professional world. So, physically and mentally, and that might be a struggle. On the flip side, they're up against the Scotland side, who finally got a huge, great big gorilla, silverback-sized ape off their back at the weekend by beating Italy. It was a fabulous result for Rachel Malcolm's side, 29-21. Finally, first Six Nations win in 12 attempts. Lana Skeldon and Leah Bartlett, front row union, doing it well, helped by the yellow card to Italy. Giada Franco, Vinici and Tunesi scored for Italy. Let's just go straight into camp, shall we? Rachel Malcolm, the captain, reflects on what was a superb victory for Scotland. That's better, isn't it?
That's better.
Long time coming.
Yeah, it was indeed far too long, but yeah.
And the reason I wanted to speak to you there, because it's almost reminiscent to Charlene Crap. Interviewed her quite a few times, and not the easiest chats, despite how lovely she is, and you're in the same camp. But to get that monkey off the back, just wanted to reflect with you on what was a fabulous victory and very well deserved. You must be sky high, but I'm guessing not too much time to be sky high before this weekend.
No, feet are firmly back on the ground. We obviously enjoyed the moment, but actually I think within the time it took for us to get back to our hotel that night, we were kind of eyes on the next challenge. So yeah, not too many celebrations or anything like that. We're firmly focused on the next challenge, which I'm not just saying because that's what I should say. It's definitely true.
And the media manager's literally sat next to you. Yeah.
No, but I think I think the emotion that we were feeling was much more like relief than like that kind of joy anyway. I think we all felt exhausted almost, just because the stress that's gone into a lot of the last year and all that we knew was coming. We knew that we could do it, and we knew that we could have done it so many times before. And I think just getting that monkey off her back, I felt like a huge weight just being lifted in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm guessing if I know you and know various people in Scotland and Brian or have you that actually got to back that up. Actually, last week, the weekend, kind of, it doesn't mean nothing, but it's heightened significantly if you go and do something this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've put that pressure on ourselves already. We've said that, we want to turn the tide, and we want to back it up with another performance. So we trained today, and I was so impressed with how we applied ourselves, got focused back on, and how we kind of analysed and previewed the game ahead. So although obviously it's been a long time coming, we'll kind of enjoy that in a week's time. We've got all the time in the world to do it then, but right now we've got a job to do ahead of us. It's a lot easier to bring energy into camp after a win, which we've not had in a long time. So that job, the job I have primarily around kind of just getting the girls back on the train on a Monday, and that's been very straightforward this week, which is quite nice, because usually a lot of our energy goes back into kind of bringing ourselves back up and building up that belief again. And I think that's probably been the hardest thing over this last year, is we truly have believed every time that we've gone into a game that we can do it, and we've shown I think 6 out of those, or if not more of those 12 wins were within 7 points. And I think it's not that we couldn't do it, because those games could have gone either way, but we just haven't for one reason or another. And I think it's hard when you're that close to keep having to build yourself up and believe again and believe again. And I think, that's the bit this week that's just that little bit easier for us. Like, we don't need to do that bit. Like, we've come in at a different starting point, got a different energy about us, and that bit's not quite so hard. But the challenge ahead of us at the weekend will be just as tough, if not more. So that's what we need to be ready for and get ready for.
Who knew Monday morning training was easier after a win? Who knew? I want to get into the game, but I mean, it's person first and player second. Have you had a quiet moment just to realise, off the back of what you were just saying, how much energy you personally have used in the last year in being that driving force and of basically the person controlling the yo-yo to get that squad back up every time? Yeah,
like, I think it's not, I'm quite an open person, and I think, a lot of the people close to me know how tough it's been. Easily the toughest year of my life in a sense of, being a sports person. And I think, the stress of it has been really tough, and I think, there have been moments of really dark and low times, and I'm just super grateful for all the people around me that have allowed me to continue to do my job, because I honestly couldn't keep doing it without those around me picking me up in those moments. Because it truly has been exhausting. Like, I'll shy away from that. And I think, having to go and sit in front of media after every one of those losses and get reminded how many times we've lost, and get reminded of, it's not nice, and it is really tough. And I think that was probably the bit that was becoming harder and harder. And then also having to constantly read things about us as a team, which I don't think actually fairly reflected where we're at. And that's tough, like, for me, in terms of just trying to make sure that, like, we don't start believing what we're reading as well. And, like, we know what's coming, and like, that's the challenge as well going forward. We need to keep with that. We need to keep with, we all talk about, like, kind of our circle, and, like, just worrying about, like, what's within our four walls, and, like, what we know about ourselves, and, like, staying true to that, and keeping believing in that rather than what other people say. So yeah, it has been hard, and it's been not just tough on me, tough on everyone within the group as well. But that's why this group's so special, because there's so many people in here that are there to pull you up in those moments.
I'm glad you said written word, not spoken word. I'm pleased about that. No, you must have stepped it incredibly well on Saturday night. Let's get into the game. Anything different you did in the week?
We talked about that this morning, actually. I think we we only had one session last week, because obviously we had a 6-day turnaround plus a travel day back from France. And there was quite a lot of pressure on that session, because you only have one session to get everything you need to do in. And I think, like, the focus that we had there was probably one of the best we'd had throughout the campaign. With that pressure of it, like, you've only got this as your only opportunity to get things sharp for the weekend. And we knew what was riding on this game at the weekend as well. So I think, that pressure that we put on ourselves was actually probably what we needed a little bit. So that was something that we definitely did. And I think also from, like, a sports science point of view, like, the way that our load was managed through the week, it's probably although we only had a 6-day turnaround, we all said it was probably actually the best that we felt physically going into a game. So I think, between the coaches and our S&C team, like, they actually got that spot on. I think actually the in-game stuff was probably the best we've been as a squad as well, in terms of the way we control comms amongst ourselves, our decision making, and all that stuff as well. So it's stuff that we've known is coming. Like, it's stuff that we've been learning, we've been building on this journey. And it just, like, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And we had quite a tough review this morning around actually, like, the areas we didn't get right. But the key moments were the ones that they went in our favor, whereas in previous times they wouldn't have.
And could you sense a difference in the changing room? That final few words that you would have spoken out on the field, could you sense, do you know what? Finally, we can get rid of this horrendous monkey on our back.
Like, it probably sounds cliche, and that's easy for me to say now, but yeah, and we've all kind of said the same thing. Like, it was a really calm warm up. Like, it was, like, very calm in the changing room before we played, but, like, a real calm confidence. And I think, like, there was just things just were going our ways around, like, them making mistakes when we put pressure on, just bits and bobs that maybe haven't gone our way in previous games. That just builds that momentum. And just like the whole way through the game, there was not one point that I felt like we weren't going to win. And I'm probably a bit too far that way at times in every game I play in, and it's probably to my detriment at times. But I think, like everyone just like, even like when we were under the post when they scored in the first half, like we said, like, look, that's fine. Like it's actually fine that that's happened, but let's not turn that into 5 minutes of them dominating. And we went off the next phase, kicked down their end, they made a mistake and we scored off of it. And like, whereas in previous years, like Italy would have scored against us and they would have run in another 3, because we've gone panic. And like the biggest message I had with the girls on the weekend and last week was like, just focus on yourself. Like Nelly and I will look after the scoreboard and we'll worry about the score, but like everyone just do your job, just focus on your job, focus on being the best you can be in that moment. Previously we've gotten caught up in the emotion of a game and made mistakes at really key moments, and it's gone against us. So it's just learning and improving in that kind of emotional side of it as a team.
But we must just go to the front row. What a shift those ladies put in. My word. Big up the front row union.
Yeah, no, like the 3 of them have been outstanding. And I think, to play 80 minutes at an international level at front row, and not just play 80 minutes and just scrummage, like they were playing 80 minutes and they were, I think in the loose, it was probably 3, like for the 3 of them, like their best performances, particularly CB and Leah in that respect. And I think like Lana's just been class. Like Lana's been, for us both in attack and defense, like she's just everywhere. Like there's not many, like she's quite unique, I think, in the style of play she is as a hooker. She definitely plays very much like a back row in the amount of work she gets through. But I think, what they achieved at set piece, and I think also just like really clever decisions around set piece in terms of like when we targeted their scrum versus when we just set a platform, and just really mature performance. But like the work the 3 of them got through was ridiculous. Like their stats were up on the board this morning just because of like how good they were. It's so difficult to play and win without a set piece, and to see those 3 performing like that, it gives us massive confidence as a team.
Yeah, I bet it does. Tom and Nelly, not bad for 50 each, are they?
No, yeah, they're very I love playing with both of them. They're brilliant players. I think Nelly's grown so much as a player over these last couple of years, in particular, like her game management, which I think at times at the weekend was just exceptional. Kicking us into the right places, kicking when we were on top and not just when we were on the back foot. And that was really the difference. I think we put their line out under a lot of pressure and forced them into mistakes. So it was a really good decision from that point of view. And having someone like Lisa Thompson in your back line, like I think the 2 of them there, like Tomo can help Nelly in terms of just that organisation side of things, and you can really see that coming through. But also Tomo's got a huge bit on her as well, so she just gives us that little bit of relief at times. So yeah, no, they're 2 fantastic players, but even better people. So exactly the kind of people you want on your squad.
Ireland properly, and I mean properly, rattled England. That is going to be one hell of a fight at the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. And like we always have huge battles with Ireland. Like they're probably my favourite test matches I've played in, because they're always like really physical up front, but like absolutely like attritional, like exactly what you want from a test match. And they've got the better of us, I think, the last 2. Well, they must have done, because we're on our nice little streak. So
not anymore.
So yeah, so like they've definitely got the upper hand in terms of previous form. But I think, and like they've grown as the tournament's gone on, and I think they've got some players who are playing absolutely out of their skin, particularly in their pack. So yeah, we're very prepared for a massive battle. And I think they've obviously had 4 losses, and I think they're going to be absolutely desperate to come out and get the win. So we are not under any kind of illusion that it's not going to be as physical in a test match and as traditional as all the ones that we have with them. So no, it's going to be an absolute battle for sure.
Rachel Malcolm, thank you so much. We will leave it there. Nobody else listening, so yeah, I hope you get another win, and then you can properly celebrate after the weekend. Because it's so nice to speak to you with a great big, you're normally a very smiley person anyway, but you're extra smiley today, and there's a relaxedness and relief to your face, which is lovely to see.
I feel like I'm about 10 kilograms lighter, to be honest with you.
Awesome. Well, you're looking great, captain great, playing great, and as ever, talking great, and much appreciated. All the best at the weekend.
Cheers. See you later, Johnny.
I'm Helena Rowland, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
It's funny, isn't it? Rachel saying that she just felt something in the water. Do you think Scotland can back it up again this weekend, Bev?
Yeah, I do think they have the ability. I mean, they have the ability to beat a number of teams, but it's just not been able to get over the line for them. And I think now they've had that win under their belt. It becomes ingrained in you. You know what it needed. You knew what it took to be able to get over the line. So I think they'll be going into this weekend believing in themselves more than they've ever probably believed in, because they've done it. And I totally agree that when I saw the first opening 10 minutes of that Scotland game, you just knew that they were going to win that game. There was no, there was no beat missed by them. Every moment, every second, they were on it. But they're going to have to bring that in again this weekend. But having been there, done it, and actually come away with a T-shirt this time, that will make a huge amount of difference going into the game this weekend.
Yeah, incredibly direct. And we know that line-out drive, even without Wassell, even without Bonner, that driving line-out is incredibly effective, but just really, really brutally direct, weren't they? And lovely to see a relaxed smile on Rachel Malcolm's face. Over to Wales then, Berth. Just really didn't get into the game until about 50, 60 minutes in, blown away by France as they can blow teams away. And that opening sort of half an hour, 40 minutes, especially at home when they get the crowd behind them, that they were impressive.
Yeah, first half, it was almost, shell-shocked, the environment, who they're coming up against. It's always hostile playing in France. It's one of the best places to play, and hopefully England's going to take that title now, instead of everybody always saying France is the best place to go due to the fans. But yeah, they just didn't get out of the blocks, did they? And it was almost they just were sitting back waiting for something to happen and allowing France to play. And fair play to France, they came out of the blocks and for once, really kind of fronted up in that kind of environment and took the game right by the horns at the start. And then you saw obviously a number of changes, and it was an interesting selection, wasn't it? In terms of a lot of rotation, some players that you may deem as your number one choice were on the bench, and I can see the logic behind that because I played against France a number of times, and they always have a knock-off period, and so you maybe just think, right, we're going to stay in this game, and then bring on some players that can kind of raise that tempo, and bring some real game smarts to it, and maybe even take the win. So you can kind of see one way of, if you look at it that way. And that second half of them, like that's some doing, half time, down by that many points, away from home, hostile environment, to then turn it on its head and really push them. And ultimately they won the second half, but they allowed too much to happen in the first half. Weather had a play in that as well. But yeah, you can see that there's definitely markings of the Welsh improvement, and the direction that they're going is only in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it's often spoken about as 1%ers, isn't it? But that base level of the Welsh performance, and whether that's effort, commitment, all that kind of stuff, it just moving upwards and upwards and upwards, and that's obviously natural with the amount of time you're going to spend together. But yeah, they went down 39-14 to France. Fine performance from the manager with a try. Hermé, who was excellent. Laurent, a couple of tries for the try scoring machine. Scudero, who I really like, who I noticed is a prop on the fantasy game. There's a little tip for you.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah,
I think I had her.
Better do as well. Evans, absolute workhorse. Georgia Evans has been fantastic all 6 nations, and Gwen Perth. That's right. Gwenny P scored the try for Wales. What do Wales need to get right this weekend against Italy? Again, it's a really, really fascinating game.
I think both teams need to get a lot right in order to overcome the opposition. I think both teams need to start well, and they've got to get out the blocks and assert themselves early. But for me, with Wales, they can't. If they can put the first half against England and the second half against France, they'll start blowing teams away. but it's that inconsistency of being able to start well and finish well that they need to find.
Couldn't agree with you more. And Italy, what have you made of them so far? Really, really tough start, wasn't it? England, France, and then these three games. But they possibly would have expected to, get a better result against Scotland. This is it's a big old game for Jana Franco, your chum and her teammates.
Yeah, I think it's been a real shame. I think it's been a quite disappointing Six Nations for Italy. Probably not seeing the expectation that we probably have on them on the back of the Rugby World Cup, and it's been a bit disjointed, and maybe some players moving on, some different injuries, new coaching staff. There's always going to be, change, and it's always going to be hard to kind of stamp your authority, considering the lack of time that they have together coming into this tournament as well to get all those changes familiar and settled. But they've got world-class talent all across the whole 15. And I think what's lacking is kind of that togetherness at the moment, and seeing those partnerships really function and really thrive consistently. We see patches of it in the game. But, Italy can turn it on and they can pull something out. Rigoni could do a lovely little chip over the top. Yeah, a little no-look offload, and then suddenly, they're ahead. And they have moments like that and ability to do that within games. And for them, I think they'll be utterly disappointed, obviously, from the weekend. So it'll be all about how they can turn that around and really take it to Wales, who probably are going into this as the favourites.
Yeah, I think absolutely they are. Yeah, they have unearthed a couple of little gems, haven't they? When he was at full back, who's also had a reasonable tournament. Brigoni Solari in their centre has been very, very good. Dinka was back out on the wing at the weekend. A fascinating game there. Let's get you up to date with the news. England and France under-20s have been involved in a mini series which France have won 2-0. First game here on English soil, France won 35-17 and backed it up with a 40-31 victory over in France. Scottish Futures played Wales under-23s of the weekend. It's another win for Scotland, 15 points to 5. And France entered the under-18 festival with a 9-try display against England to complete an age grade grand slam. Will it be the same with the seniors this weekend? Wales, Ireland and Italy all finished with 2 wins apiece. In the world of sevens, again, it was New Zealand who took gold in Hong Kong for the first time. A few weeks ago this now, first time the women have been allowed on the top table of the big pitch. It was the second silver in a row for Australia. And Team GB won their first bronze of the series. Congratulations to Nick Walker and his team. Now one leg remains to lose. May the 12th to the 14th. 16 points separate Australia and New Zealand, with 20 points up for grabs. And the New Zealand Black Ferns have locked in their contracted players for 2023. 34 players and all, 10 new faces. Some fairly familiar faces in there. Not entirely sure what Ruby Tui's up to at the moment. That's out with the jury. None of the sevens players include this. So no Stacey Fleur, Sarah Healy, the likes of that. But performances in Super Rugby Aupiki with the likes of Grace Cago, Lucy Jenkins and Leila Sahi get their first full-time contracts. This, of course, after the finalisation of the Black Ferns coaching group, which does not include a female. Alan Buntings will be assisted by Tony Christie, who formerly led Mata 2, Steve Jackson, the former Manu Samoa coach, and Mike Delaney, former All Black. For sevens, the World Rugby Sevens Challenger Series 2023 kicked off in Stellenbosch. First of 2 legs, the second one this weekend, 28th to 30th of April. Turbulent first weekends, all sorts going on, illnesses and damage being done to the broadcast, and results being recorded. Anyway, it was South Africa who beat Belgium in the final. China secured 3rd over Poland. Czechia were 5th, in Thailand, Madagascar, Colombia, Hong Kong, Mexico, Papua New Guinea and Paraguay. Interesting competition this weekend, of course. It's all about promotion to the HSBC World Rugby 7 Series 2024 as the 12th and final team. Dates for the Pacific 4 have been announced. Important again for WXV. Canada, Australia, USA and New Zealand will battle out on the 8th and 14th of July in the beautiful Ottawa. Over in Australia, Super W has been continuing round 4 results. Western Force beat Fijiana Drua 23-10. New South Wales squeezed past Queensland Reds 31-30, while Melbourne Rebels women went down 23-30 away at the Brumbies. This week, the Rebels lost 29-0 to New South Waratahs. The Brumbies won on the road 27-45 at Western Force. And the Reds overcame Fijiana Drua 45-20. So we have our semi-finalists, which take place this weekend. Queensland Reds, top seeds, face the Brumbies women, and Fijiana, defending champions, travel to New South Wales Waratahs, with a grand final on Saturday, the 6th of May, at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Short and sharp, ahead of Friday's live Cabbage Patch Six Nations finale Super Saturday live pod. Did I say it was live? Did I say it was a pod? 8 o'clock this Friday. Eventbrite for Rachel Burford, Lenny Consor, and Sarah Hunter is joining us as well. Finish up with a few shout outs then, Burf.
Yeah, just Michela Silleri from Italy, who passed the 250 point mark last weekend against Ireland.
Finally, the Surrey Waterfall Cup took place last weekend at the Suit between our Regations and Guildfordians. It was Regations who took it 22-24 in dramatic final play score. Especially big congratulations to Iron Hancock. Just 4 years ago, she was running out as a team mascot with Dav Catlin. Well done to all, even in the hydration technician department. Leanne Infante, their coach, was there as well. In the under-14 version, which preceded the game, Chobham beat our Regations to win the cup title.
And huge congratulations to Lisa Thompson, Tomo, for reaching her 50th cap.
Yeah, and the last and most important congratulations to Welsh prop Carol Thomas and her partner Kelly for the birth of their little baby. Huge congratulations to them. And be the first to knock them down, and I find some of the stuff they do quite extraordinary, especially on the streaming side. But fair play RFU. Chris Evans, Virgin Radio, is talking about the advertising of this historic game at Twickenham at the weekend. You're driving the way, you're forcing other people to put the time and resources into the women's game, which they probably should have done anyway, by your own positive actions. And fair play, all at the RFU, Alex Teasdale, Sid Day, all the rest of them, absolutely brilliant. Big shout out as well to Scott Beamond and to Simon Middleton, their final game in charge, and press officer Emily Lyles, who's been an absolute superstar in that role as the media manager for the England women. We'll see you Friday, Bert, but you're going to be there on Saturday, are you, pitch side?
Yeah, going to be doing a little bit pitch side, interview a few players. So if you come along to the live, give me some questions to hit up some players, then I'll make sure they get through.
Lovely. Yeah, we will see you there at Strickers on Saturday. Can't wait. There are still tickets available, of course. But for now, big thank you to Rachel Malcolm, to Tom, to Vicky in the background, to you, Bert. See you Friday.
See you Friday.